Hello, and welcome to another episode of Positive Parenting with Astrology. I am your host and resident Gemini, Maria Riegger, and today we're talking about some actionable, specific tips. And our topic is um, how to manage tantrums with your kids. This goes for teenagers too, specific to Aries energy. So, this new year, 2025, we're getting really specific with the tips and other advice that you guys want to see. This video is specifically about Aries specific tips to help you manage your child's tantrums. So let's get to it. So Aries, as we know, is cardinal fire. Okay, so being a fire sign, as we've said multiple times on this channel, Aries kids have very high physical energy needs. The Aries child has a ton of pent up energy that needs to be expressed. The thing with fire signs, especially Aries, since it's a cardinal sign, the thing with fire signs is that if the energy is not directed and channeled in some way, it has the propensity to burn uncontrollably and to be destructive. So it's very important that we channel the energy in some way. And it's also important that we do not convey to our Aries children that they are somehow bad or misbehaving because they have these physical energy needs. It's not their fault. This is their nature. This is their temperament, and we have to accept it. So I'm going to give you a couple tips today specific for Aries kids. So we've talked about before on this channel how it's great for Aries kids to get a lot of physical activity. So we're going to talk today about something called bilateral stimulation. So if your Aries child just has a ton of energy they need to burn off, and they're having trouble like focusing and concentrating on any one thing because they have this energy that they have to express and have an outlet for in some way, a great way to get them to express that energy and get to a place where they can be calmer and more focused is called bilateral stimulation. Now, what that means is basically you're stimulating both hemispheres of the brain. And to do that, you do an activity that involves using both sides of the body. The ideal activity for this is walking, using both sides of the body, using both your legs, right? And, I cannot tell you how many times people tell me, oh, I take a walk and I feel better. I take a walk and I'm less angry. There's a reason for that because it's one of the top bilateral stimulation activities that you can do. So this is great for kids, younger kids who are developmentally in that stage where they're having tantrums because they don't yet know how to express their wants and needs. But surprisingly, this also works for teenagers because developmentally, teenagers have intense emotions. They have an intense emotional experiences. And many parents of teens will tell me that it's almost like they feel like almost like they're parenting a toddler in some ways. It's this person that looks almost like an adult, sounds like an adult, is articulate like an adult, but mentally they're not an adult yet. Their brain is not fully developed yet. So bilateral stimulation, walking, great for teens. Now, for teens specifically, they are naturally resistant to direction from parents, naturally resistant to advice from parents. So I hear a lot from parents that, well, my teen won't take a walk with me. They won't take a hike. Okay, well, a way to deal with that, instead of forcing them to take a walk in the neighborhood or to take a hike, in the woods or something like that, is to get them walking by taking them somewhere where they like to be, taking them to the mall. Walking in the mall is fine. It's still walking. Walking to shop is still walking. So a lot of the times it's helpful to ask your teen, hey, we're going to go take a walk. Where do you want to take the walk? Because teenagers are so used to being told what to do all the time. They're being told what to do by parents, by teachers, by coaches. They're not, their opinion is not always solicited. So when you solicit your teenager's opinion and ask them, okay, we're going to take a walk, we're going to do this activity, what's your input? Or how would you like to structure this? Or where do you want to take the walk? Do you want to go to the mall? Do you want to go indoors? Do you want to go outdoors? Do you want to go to your favorite location, wherever that is? Sometimes they're kind of taken aback when you ask for their input because they're not used to it, right? And when you do ask for their input, they're a lot more willing to collaborate with you because you are valuing what they have to say. Does not always work perfectly every time, but it helps to build that relationship of like an alliance building, helps to build that relationship of cooperation instead of an adversarial relationship. Because the relationship with our kids really changes kind of drastically when they become teenagers. It's a whole different way of parenting. So that's just a technique specific to teens. So what happens if you can't take a walk, for example? You're someplace where you can't take a walk, but your Aries, maybe your younger Aries child has a lot of energy or is having a tough time focusing. You can still do a bilateral stimulation exercise that does not involve walking. And there's a great exercise called butterfly taps. And this is great for younger kids too, where you just sit like this and you kind of tap rhythmically. Now, I'm a high anxiety person. You've probably noticed that if you've watched this channel for any length of time. Geminis also, we tend to be on the higher anxiety side. The butterfly taps really help me calm down. And when I first started doing them, I thought there's no way this is going to help. This is ridiculous. But they do help. Now, it's not perfect, right? So when you have younger kids who have trouble sitting still for a long period of time, it may not help them sit still for an hour, but it will help temporarily. Okay. Also, remember to temper your expectations for younger kids. It's really not reasonable to ask, for example, a 4 or 5 year old to expect them to sit like this for an hour. It's just not reasonable. Okay. So, but the butterfly taps are a great way to kind of redirect your younger Aries child, help them to calm down, but you're also redirecting them and giving them an activity to do something to do, right? So, those are the two things I wanted to share with you today. Walking, that's like the best bilateral stimulation exercise, in my opinion. And if you can't take a walk, the butterfly taps. So those are great ways of directing the Aries energy, right? So you don't have this kind of pent, built up energy. And it's a great way of managing kids' propensities for tantrums. It helps if you can recognize the signs in your Aries child that indicate they are leading up to a tantrum, because once the tantrum starts, it's harder to redirect. But if you can recognize the signs that, okay, they're kind of shutting down right now, maybe they're overtired, maybe they're overstimulated, there's too much going on in the environment, maybe, oh, they haven't eaten for 3 hours, maybe they're hungry, they need a snack. If you could recognize those things, those indicators leading up to the tantrums, and have them do the walking or the butterfly taps before there's a full-on tantrum, that's when they work best, right? So I want to know what your experience has been using these techniques and these activities, and if you have any other techniques and activities that have worked well to direct that fire energy for your Aries child. Thanks for your attention. We'll be back soon.